For some bros and some ladies, one lawn sword is enough. Like, for example, my Yoshimi machete could have been it for me. And since I don't learn my lesson until the third or fourth time, I decided I needed a second lawn sword and maybe wait until the third and the fourth time to come up with a good reason. Oh, okay, now I collect them. That's a good reason. Subscriber Kevin Homer, after informing me I grill wrong and presented me with the indisputable charcoal is better than gas argument, and that his meat tastes better than mine, mentioned buying an Aranyik Extended Latin Machete. So I took half of his advice, because I enjoy my meat flavored with fossil fuels, and bought the Extended Latin Machete, like he did. They have a regular one, but if I know anything about anything, it's there's never a downside to upsizing, especially when it comes to soda. Fuck yeah, Diet Mountain Dew. Well, that was unnecessary. I'm waiting till someone tells me not to cuss in my beer reviews. But before we go any further, let's take a look at the dimensions of this beast that ships sheathless. Like the overall length and weight. I'll include my temporary sheath solution, which is a hell yeah cold steel 21-inch machete sheath, which was, I think, $8 on eBay. $8, hell yeah. Blade length and cutting edge. Note that on the website it says 27-inch, but that's the total length. The cutting edge and blade are smaller. Handle size, grip area. How many lawn swords do you own? 5, 6? Spine thickness and handle thickness. How many lawns do you own? I don't own lawns, I'm a slumlord. Tallnesses. Can you own a lawn sword if you live in an apartment or rent your lawn? Discuss. Aranyik is a small company based out of Thailand that sells chopping and hacking instruments, as well as sharpening stones, and many other things most people living in America will never need except YouTube video artists. And even then, these idiots don't need it. It's a website full of cheap handmade heavy choppers, but you know that because you've already seen Prepare Mine 101s and We All Juggle Knives videos about this stuff, and you're watching this video because it's part of your community service. So, thanks. The standard Latin machete is about 2 inches shorter than the 27-inch extended one reviewed here. The blade is made from 5160 carbon steel and features a durable convex edge grind. It's thick and barely flexible and has a pointier, sharper tip than other Latin machetes. You can see it has that rustic look that's acceptable on machetes but not on pocket knives. Spine thickness sort of varies until the tip, and remember, if you don't wipe your blade clean and dry it after every jungle adventure, it's going to rust. The handle is comprised of 2 eucalyptus wood scales over the top of a full tang. The website notes the handle scales are affixed with pins and not epoxy. I watched one video where one guy said his loosened up after a while, after a little use on the first day, and he thinks it should have been epoxied. I have chopped wood with mine for several days, as well as bamboo, opened a beer with it, limbed some branches, and paraded around my yard swinging at imaginary end-level bosses while making swishing sounds, and did not experience any of that. While this isn't a wood channel, the internet says eucalyptus wood is pretty hard for wood. Not the hardest, kind of like a semi, and Aranyik claims these handles have a hardness of over 1600 on the Janka scale. The handle appears to be sanded smooth and possibly not stained or treated with anything. The grip fits my hand well, however, my complaint on my Yoshimi machete, as having not a rear pommel or handle key in, also stands with this one, or the complaint is similar on this one. While it didn't slip out of my hand while chopping, I'd like maybe a lanyard hole or something similar to the Ontario machete's rear nub. The sheath. It's a cold steel cheapie. It dangles, fits the blade well, although it's a tight fit. I contacted Aranyik about a leather sheath, and Miles said he has a waiting list 2 months out for making a simple leather one. I mean, I'm on the wait list, but in the meantime, this one works just fine as a blade protectant. The machete and sheath itself are a bit too long for a good belt carry and heavy, and this particular sheath is padded without drain holes. So if the sheath gets wet, make sure you dry it out first or you'll get a rusty blade. Rusty blade also has one of the most disappointing definitions on all of Urban Dictionary. Comparisons. First, the Aranyik. This is a heavier machete. I reviewed the Ontario last week, and that's about 1.33 pounds. This is creeping up toward 2 pounds, meaning that if you're not used to the blade, your forearms will feel like you just got the internet back after a week of not having it. The edge is very sharp, but expect there to be light blemishes and a little unevenness in the finish because, I mean, look at it. The pointy tip in theory also makes it excellent for breaching. Hell yeah! Now the Ontario Machete. The Ontario Machete is about 2/3 a pound lighter, which in reality isn't super light, but it is less fatiguing for bush clearing. I've spent the past 2 weeks working with both the Aranyik and this, and the Aranyik works a bit better for splitting larger pieces of wood because of its thicker blade stock. But for me, the Ontario is the one I prefer to use because you can get faster swings, and it's easier on the recovery after a swing. Like I mentioned earlier, the handle is better suited for swinging and swatting because of the rear key-in. What about the Yoshimi Machete? This one has a similar size blade stock. I think it's a little thicker, and it's heavier than the Aranyik. The Machete is also about $130 to $180 depending on where you buy it. You do get a nice sheath with it, and I like the more pronounced front key-on because it's nice and curved. After using both this and the Aranyik, they seem like swords, really, and the weight difference is negligible in overall use. Both kind of hurt your forearms after a while. Of course, if you're a jack jungle dude, you know, none of this makes any sense to you. Both have convex edges and can handle thick stuff, but because they're so long and the weight is spread out over the whole length of the blade, it's harder to target your hits, especially near the end. If you're looking for a chopper, you want something shorter that concentrates the heft of the blade's weight, and combined with your knowledge of the blade and your ninja training, you can break the wood easier. For example, hand axes, ineps, and kukris like my Zombie Tools Vacra excel at this. I prefer choppers shorter than a machete, but with a blade longer than a hand axe. While you may have a shorter of a reach in theory, you often chop things that are closer to your body, like for instance, your hand off. I feel like I have much more control in chopping when I use my kukris, even though blades like this are slightly heavier than the Aranyik. Chopping in itself is fatiguing, but this handle also has a much better grip for heavier duty work. There are also more pronounced key-ons for keeping your hand in place during the swing and the recovery. Alright, let's wrap it up. The Aranyik is a fine, well-made blade. I like the rough quality of the fit and finish. I'd say I feel less bad about beating it up, but as a person who batons with Sebenzas, I never really feel bad about beating up knives of any price point. I know this sounds a bit controversial, but my personal philosophy on knives is they are tools and not fashion accessories. If you want something for limit and brush clearing, you want something lighter than the Aranyik Latin Machete, unless of course you're the jack jungle dude. If you want a chopper, try something with a shorter reach so you can target your hits better. Long, heavy blades are also harder to control if you're chopping things at a distance. I've never seen anyone effectively clear brush with a sword. Idiots like myself on YouTube don't count. There are other kukri-like blades that are shorter, and I've ordered the much shorter cane machete from Aranyik to see if I like that better as a chopper. Also, I've noticed the handle feedback is more pronounced when using the Aranyik than the Ontario, and it would make my thumb a little owie with extremely hard wax. If you want something long for thick brush, it makes sense to get a machete that has a thin blade stock. The Aranyik Extended Latin Machete is a great value for what it is, but I feel similarly about this as I do my Yoshimi. I guess it's a cool thing to use occasionally because it helps you forget you have to wear a suit to work and that you couldn't survive your way out of a YouTube video, but there are better tools for the job. If you think I'm the right tool for this job, as in YouTube, subscribe to my channel, baton that thumbs up button, leave a comment. Thanks for watching.